Welcome back in. Sorry for being late, but trying to get as much stuff done as I could before I went live. But here we are. So I do think we might switch to just doing this every Friday night instead of doing this on Wednesdays because it's getting to be a lot to get all this done and do this. But we're not here to talk about that or complain. So positives only. Anyways, let's go ahead and get some of the questions. We have we're gonna answer every single question we got here. So let's go ahead. We got Dak or Perk Rogers. Hopefully Bowers can give me at least 10 this week. I got the Texans DSC locked in, ready to go. Yeah, the Texans are in a great spot against the Titans. We're going to go with Dak. I got Dak as a top 5 quarterback play this week the against the Raiders. Love this spot for them. I know Dak is and the Cowboys offense hasn't been as good the last couple of weeks, but those were also against tougher matchups. So I do like this spot this week for the Cowboys to bounce back pretty well on the road against the Raiders. So I like him. And then Bowers, great spot as well for him. I mean, that was a brutal game, brutal matchup last week for the Raiders. I mean, on the road against Denver. I mean, it's just a putrid game, 10-7. Though I think the Eagles and Packers game might be just as worse as that game was. So, but give me Dak here. Trey Tucker, Dobbs, Michael Wilson, or Keon. Give me. I do actually like Trey Tucker. I'm going to talk about him in my video of top plays of the week, but I would give me Romeo Dobbs here against the Giants. I have Dobbs as a top 24 wide receiver play this week. I mean, I don't think the Packers offense can look any worse than it has. So we're going to get Jameis Winston as well in that game. So that should be a lot of fun because James always games are always wild. Pick 2: Henry, Henderson, Pickens, full PPR. Man, that's tough because I really like Henderson this week, but I don't think I can sit. I don't think I can sit Derrick. And like, so this is a tougher. So for Derrick Henry this week, this is a tougher matchup. The Browns have been pretty solid against the run all year. They're like a bottom 3 matchup for running backs, but I can't sit Derrick Henry. I don't think. So I guess Henry and Pickens. Like, who else are you playing at wide receiver? Because I like Pickens a lot this week. Pickens is a top 15 wide receiver play. So who else are you playing at wide receiver? Bryce. Because I really like, Henderson and Pickens both a lot this week. I have Henderson as top 14 running back play. So, but I do have Derrick Henry as a low end or a running back too. Would you rather have Henry or Javante for the playoffs? Let's see. I lean Henry just because obviously as it turns colder, Derrick Henry just gets better and better. Um, but let me see. Oh, so 15 to 17 and running backs. So I know Baltimore has a pretty. So the Baltimore has the 16th easiest schedule from week 15 through 17 for the fantasy playoffs. Dallas has a top 10 matchup. Let's see. Just to see what the matchups are. So in the fantasy playoffs, the Ravens get the Patriots, or excuse me, they get the Bengals, phenomenal matchup. Um, the Patriots and the Packers. The Packers have been really good against the run. Patriots have been elite against the run. So the Patriots, I think last week Sean Tucker was the first running back all year that had over 50 yards rushing against the Patriots, which is incredible. So the Patriots have been excellent against the run, and then the Bengals have been absolutely dreadful. So like you get a phenomenal matchup, but these last two are tough. But I will say this is prime Derrick Henry time. So, and then Javante, let's see. Yeah, I will say, I mean, even after so for the Ravens, you get the Browns this week, which is not that great, but they have that. But then you still get the Jets, the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Bengals again. Like Henry could absolutely go off during that time. And then the Cowboys' schedule for the fantasy playoffs is the Commanders, which is an excellent matchup, the Chargers, great matchup for running backs, and then the Vikings, which isn't terrible. But rest of season, they get the Raiders this week, obviously great, which is actually not a great matchup. So you would think that the Raiders are not great against the run, but the Raiders have actually been low key really good against the run all year. That's why I'm a little bit lower on Javante, and I have him as an RB2. And then you have the Eagles, which they're like middle of the road against running backs this year. The Chiefs have been really good against the running backs, but then the fantasy playoff, or then the Lions, which have been elite against the run. So it's the Vikings, Chargers, and Commanders. I probably still lean Derrick Henry after going through all that. Hey TFA, I need to pick help picking 2 of 3 running backs between Henry, Marks, and Henderson, non PPR. Man, give me Henry and Henderson. I would love to say Woody Marks. I'm really high on Woody Marks as well, but I'm not sitting Derrick Henry. Sport Dog, 18 PPR using CMC and Warren running back and London JMO wide receiver. I have 2 flex. Who do I use? Vidal, Shakir, Marks, Johnson, and Aaron Jones. Thanks for the help with my flex. Give me Woody Marks and Quentin Johnston against the Chargers. Or against the Chargers. Against the Jaguars, excuse me. Crab Gravy. How are you doing tonight? Would you start Lad or Trey Henderson in the flex? Lad all day. And I love Trey. Like I said, I'll keep saying I love Trey Henderson, but uh, Lad is a strong wide receiver 1 play for me this week. He's somebody else I'm going to talk about in the video just because he's been absolutely elite, and I'll just kind of highlight it here. Get down to Lad McCollum. There he is. So obviously, he struggled for the first couple of weeks or through the first 4 weeks, but um, since that point, he is the wide receiver 4 overall. He has averaged 7.8 targets, 72 receiving yards, and half a touchdown per game. He's also been heavily targeted in the red zone with 17 red zone targets, which is top 8 among wide receivers. Great after the catch, but also the Jaguars are really bad against opposing wide receivers, allowing the 8th most PPR points to wide receivers. So really love Lad McConkey this week for me. So is Harvey a flex this week? I think it really depends on your options. Michael, when it comes to RJ Harvey this week, because yes, J.K. Dobbins likely doesn't play. There's rumors that he might go on IR. We'll see about that. But the Chiefs are really good against the run. They have been really good. I know a few weeks ago whenever they played against the Bills, they were not great against the run. They allowed, but there's a big difference between the Bills' rushing attack and the Broncos. So I think RJ Harvey could possibly get there through the air, but as a pass catcher, but I just don't know. I just don't love it. I think he's like a low end RB2. And I also, we just don't know when it comes to Sean Payton because Sean Payton does some weird shit like all the time. Like, how much work is Jaleel McLaughlin and Tyler Beatty going to get? They shouldn't get any, right? It should just be RJ Harvey out there just being an absolute workhorse. But I don't know if we can truly count on that. And so, with the matchup, everything considered, I would still lean the. It really would come down to, I guess, what your other options are. Harold. Hello, Jennings, Rashid, Parker, Washington need 1 non PPR. Non PPR is going to be Juwan Jennings. He's really starting to come on and play really well. Evening trade deadline coming up. Someone from 808. Someone offered me 3 players of my choice: Tyler Warren, Jalen Warren, Chase Brown, Vidal, Devonta Smith, and Quentin Johnson for Jamar Chase and Oronde Gadsden. I don't mind trading Oronde Gadsden for obviously in this, but I do not want to trade Jamar Chase at all. And I honestly don't know if this is even enough of the players they're offering you. He has JSN, which I would prefer that too. But I mean, Jamar Chase has just been an absolute monster. And also, we got the reports that Joe Burrow is now back. His practice window has been open. I think he's going to be back week 13 against the Ravens. It sounds like I think they're going to give him 2 weeks to kind of ramp up, get himself going, and then that Thursday night game on Thanksgiving, I think, is when you're going to see Joe Burrow play. So, which is obviously also great news for the pass catchers. So, uh, I just don't want to trade Jamar Chase. Like, I don't think like these players they're offering are necessarily awful, but it's also you're giving away a Rondé Gadsden who's a top 5 10. So let's say we take Tyler Warren, who they're pretty much in my mind they're pretty much like the same type of option, right? I think they're both top 5 tight ends rest of the season. And also really great news for Gadsden that he's back practicing today. He's not going to miss this week, sounds like. So really positive for Rondé Gadsden who left that Sunday night game against the Steelers. But anyways, so like and then it comes down to like, are any two of these guys worth Jamar Chase? And my answer is no. And I like Chase Brown, like especially with the injury to Samaje Perine. He's somebody I talk about, but I mean, none of these two guys are worth Jamar Chase. So I wouldn't do it. I feel like you're trying to get scammed. They're trying to scam you here, 808. I mean, unless they're going to throw in JSN, which at that point I don't know why they would do that, but yeah, I couldn't do it. Harold with Fairbairn likely out again. Bergalis, Pinheiro, Cam Little, Joey Slyle available. No thicker kicker, Harold? Give me Pinheiro, though. I would take Pinheiro anyways. But Harrison Mevis, stand up. Will, who should I start at flex? Wandale, Parker, Tez, David Montgomery. I guess. So Brian Thomas came back in practice today, so we really don't know how this is going to shake out with Brian Thomas back and Jakobi Meyers, another week of him, and Parker Washington. I do wonder, do they kick Parker Washington to the outside and move Jakobi Meyers into the slot, or do they allow Parker Washington to stay in the slot? But I guess let me see where the old there wide receiver threes really quick down. So yeah, I guess give me Parker Washington. I'm a little bit lower on Wandale with I think Darius Slayton is a better play this week with Jameis Winston at quarterback. I like Jameis. I like Theo Johnson at quarterback. Wandale, I mean, the guy sees like 10 targets and gets like 30 yards. Like he's just used so short. Now things are going to change. I don't know what this offense is going to look like, obviously, because Brian Dable is gone. They brought in Mike Kafka to be not brought in, but they made Mike Kafka the interim head coach. There is some speculation that he could actually get the job, depending on how well he does. But Mike Kafka, I think, is a pretty bright guy. Like, this isn't like a Mike McCoy situation for the Titans, who's just a terrible offensive coordinator, now head coach. But so I'm not entirely sure how everything's going to change or what changes are going to be made and how this is going to look. Like, maybe Wandale Robinson is probably the safer option in a full PPR, but I think Parker Washington offers just a little bit more ceiling in a game that, in a little bit better, slightly better matchup. I have the Seattle D as my only defense in both leagues right now. In one league, I have Stafford, Flacco backup, and in the other, I have Darnold, Brissett backup. Should I start the backup quarterbacks this week? I'm starting Stafford. Well, actually, no, take that back. Give me Flacco. So I can, I take that back now. With Flacco, so I have Joe Flacco just ahead of Matthew Stafford this week. Joe Flacco has been incredible. He's actually been the QB1 over the last 4 games. He's averaging 29 fantasy points per game. It's absolutely ridiculous. So give me Flacco in this game against the Steelers, and then give me Brissett over Sam Darnold. I really like Sam. I don't mind Sam Darnold. Obviously, I've been the Sam Darnold stan for the last month. But Brissett has just been great. I mean, he's averaging 19 fantasy points per game. But with him, he's somebody that I talk about too. was one of my favorite plays at quarterback this week. I tried to get him as a top 12 quarterback, just couldn't do it. But since taking over, quarterback, like I said, he's averaging 19 fantasy points per game for Brissett. And this is a really good matchup. The 49ers defense is kind of fallen off a cliff. And now they allow the 11th most PPR points to quarterbacks. And so I just think this is a really good spot for Jacoby Brissett. And also, Brissett's actually like a multi-week good starter because after that, they get the Jaguars, who allow the 4th most PPR points to quarterbacks. So Brissett, I think, is a really good play too. So give me Brissett and Flacco here and those two. First all worth stashing. I have Jennings. Yeah, I think he's worth a stash for sure. I mean, this whole thing. I mean, I think he's been out like 6 weeks now. I don't know why this team hasn't placed him on IR. It's been super frustrating. But the 49ers are like historically safe with their players. Like they do not rush them back. And basically they have to hit certain thresholds and like miles per hour and stuff like that to be able to get back on the field. And I think that's what's gotten to him. I think he was limited today, but like that's kind of been what we've been seeing from Ricky Pearsall. But he's certainly worth a stash. Tingley, help start 1 running back, 2 flex. Kyron Henderson, Chase Brown, Rachaad White, Odunze, PPR. So give me Chase Brown. And then give me TreVeyon Henderson. And Rome Odunze at wide receiver at the last flex. Michael, Breece, or Tet, or Allen for flex PPR. Oh, man. I don't really love any of them, to be honest. Like what I've said about the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots have been incredible against the running backs, but only allowed less. Last week was the first week, like I said, only allowing 50 or over 50 yards to a running back. But I think he could get there through the air because they have nobody else. Geno Smith is out. And I would expect they're going to be playing from behind. And they're going to have to throw the ball. Last week was really weird game environment for the Jets. They got those 2 early returns, which really put them over the top. So I guess give me Breece and hope that he sees like 10 targets in that game against the Patriots tomorrow night. Just like with Keenan Allen, like it's a great matchup for Keenan Allen, but like he's really kind of fallen off like the last month of the year. I mean, it's been all Rondé Gatson and Ladd McConkey and some Quentin Johnson mixed in, where Keenan Allen has kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit. And so I just don't love that. And I can't play Ted. I mean, the Falcons have actually been really good against wide receivers, and Bryce Young has been just absolutely dreadful and continues to be. They continue to try to hide him in any way possible, try to limit throwing. I mean, they're throwing like 20 times a game. And so it's really hard for Ted to ever get there. So just give me Breece Hall. Thomas, they need to start 2 running backs and a flex and half-point PPR. Henry, Kyron, Henderson, Adams. So the 2 running backs, give me Derrick Henry and TreVeyon Henderson. And then in the flex, I'm going to go Davante Adams. Okay, so you're playing Adams and Buka, and then, okay, Achane and Genty. Okay, that makes sense then. Why you can't play George Pickens. I mean, let me put it this way. If you're shooting for ceiling, I don't know who you're playing this week, obviously. But if you're like looking like maybe you might lose this week and you need straight ceiling, I would start Pickens over Henry because I just think his ceiling is a lot higher. Because like I said, this is not a great matchup. These 2 teams played earlier in the year, and the Ravens curb stomped them. But Derrick Henry didn't do anything on the ground. I think he scored a touchdown or 2, and that's the only reason he even got there. But that was it. And so that's the only thing that really concerns me with Derrick Henry. It's just like I said, this just isn't a great matchup. The Browns have just been really good against running backs. But I just think Pickens is a higher ceiling, but I think Henry's probably the safer play here. And so I just think that's how I would play it if it was me. Like if I felt like if I was playing like somebody who had JSN and I don't know, Christian McCaffrey or something like that, and I just need straight ceiling, like that's what I would do. I would go Pickens over Derrick Henry, but it's close. Start two running backs, two wide receivers at a flex. Jinty, Dowdle, Swift, JCM, Zach, Charbonnet, Nico Collins, Wandell Robinson, Devon Smith, Jordan Addison. So Jinty's a lock. And then give me Rico Dowdle against the Falcons. Falcons do struggle against opposing running backs. And then the two wide receivers, give me Nico and Devonta Smith. And then the flex, going to be between Swift and Addison. I think the matchup sets up really well for Addison. It's just JJ McCarthy as a passer has been pretty rough. But the Vikings versus running backs. Have been like bottom half of the league in terms of opposing running backs so far. Let's see per game. Let's see. Well, I take that back. I mean, actually, I think some of that's actually because they've already had their bye. I think that skews things a little bit because they've actually allowed 11th most rushing yards and just almost about close to a touchdown per game to opposing running back. So I think that has more to do with it than anything. So yeah, give me Swift. I'm gonna go Swift over Addison. Sorry, I had to think that through. Shouldn't taken that long. Thomas, who do you have higher rest of season in half point PPR? London or Jacobs? Probably Jacobs. I think it's close between those two, but Jacobs, I mean, especially in a half point PPR, you lean a little bit closer to touchdown upside versus receiving upside. And Jacobs just continues to be that like the only offense that this team has. He's clearly healthy. I like Drake London, but that passing offense is going to be up and down at times. So I guess just I would take Jacobs over London. 10 team PPR, 8-2. Should I trade Henry, Waddle, Collins, and Kincaid for CD, Hampton, and Olave? My running backs are Jacobs, Henry, Kyron, wide receiver Puka, Rashid, Collins, Waddle, Diggs. My tight ends are Kincaid and Fannin. Would you do it? I don't understand why they're asking you to give up so much, to be honest. I mean, Hampton is, I mean, yes, I think he's getting closer to returning. It sounds like he could be back in the next 2 weeks, but still, I mean, Olave obviously I think is going to be really good, but if Shuck continued to play the way he did this past week against the Panthers, but I mean, CD's obviously great, but like, here's the thing: Jalen Waddle has been incredible since going down. Like Jalen Waddle, legitimately. So Jalen Waddle, if you take out that one game where that bad weather game against Cleveland, he's averaged 19 PPR points per game, or has been the wide receiver 2 since week 5. Like, and even in counting that game, he's still the wide receiver 6 overall, averaging 7 targets, 80 receptions, nearly a touchdown per game, and 16 PPR points, and is good for the wide receiver 6. So, like, I mean, he's been incredible. Like, I don't actually think I would do it. Like, just because, like I said, I mean, Waddle's been awesome, and then Collins, like, yes, Collins hasn't been great, but like he's coming off a strong game with Davis Mills, and then from there, Kincaid I know is hurt, and it looks like he's probably going to miss this week, but it doesn't sound like it's a super long term injury for him. Because the running back, you're left with. I mean, and you're also like, I don't know. I don't think I'd do it. I don't know. I'm on the fence because obviously CD is the top three, top 4 wide receiver rest of season. Matchups aren't terrible, and then Hampton when he gets back. Though I do wonder, him coming back with that injury, does he see the same type of workload, or do we see more of a 50-50 work split? Like since how well Kamani Vidal has played, plus he's coming off that injury. not to mention the Chargers have been super run heavy or super pass heavy, all year. And so like I do wonder with Hampton coming back, is this more of a committee like it was when Najee was around as well? So the more and more I think about this, the more and more I don't think I would do it. I don't think I would. Like I've said with Henry's schedule, there's a lot of really good upcoming games in his schedule. Collins, I think, is going to be a little more up and down, but he's still the wide receiver one there. But Waddle has been phenomenal. I mean, he's been on pace with CeeDee Lamb. I mean, actually, he's been better than CeeDee Lamb. Honestly, like I said, if you take out that one game, I mean, he's averaging 19 PPR points per game. And when I say, normally I don't like to say like take away this game, but that game was an extreme weather game, and that's why passing was down all across the board. So I don't know. I don't think I do it. Should I start Henderson or Javante, Kittle or Gatson? I slightly lean towards Javante over Henderson, but it's really close. Like so close that I have Javante at 13 and Henderson at 14. And then at tight end, I would also go Kittle over Gatson. But again, that's also really close because I have Kittle at 3 and Gatson at 4. I don't think you're really going to go wrong either way here between these two because between the four options you have here, I think all of them are decent plays. Javante is the one that worries me the most, but his just workload is so incredible that it makes it hard for me to see how he doesn't get there, even against a good run defense in the Raiders. I think the Cowboys can control this game. I think their offense is going to be able to score a lot of points, and so with him also being involved in the passing game, I think Henderson I love as well. Don't get it twisted, but I slightly lean towards Javante over Henderson, and then I slightly lean Kittle over Gatson. I know it's not the strongest it takes, but it is really close between both of them. What is the best defense to start? Chargers or Ravens? Where's that at? Give me the Baltimore Ravens on this one. Baltimore, I have a top 5 defense this week, a matchup against Cleveland. Can't really ask for a much better spot. Jake, well, I'm still two whatever. I got 2 of the top 7 wide receivers, though. How long is Dart out for? I got to figure out a quarterback. So he's going to be out for obviously this week. He's already been ruled out. But I mean, concussions typically are a 1 week thing. Just depends on the severity of it. Now he's been checked for a concussion 4 times this year, but which I don't know why that keeps getting because he's only been diagnosed a concussion once. So I would guess it's probably just this week. Maybe if they're really cautious because of the record, 2 weeks. But he should be back within the next week or two. Any streamers you like? Yes. Jacoby Brissett is widely available in most leagues. He's probably the best bet for the guy that's available in your league. Like I said, I mean, I have him as a borderline QB1 play this week. Just incredible matchup. He's been really good. Scored 19 or more fantasy points in every game that he started so far. It is a little bit like of a ding against them that Marvin Harrison is out, but I don't think it's a huge deal here. Obviously, Trey McBride is going to still see a ton of targets here, but like I said, I mean the excuse me, the 49ers have allowed the 8th most passing yards, the 5th most passing touchdowns, and the 9th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. So it's a really, really good spot for Jacoby Brissett. He would probably be the top option that you'd be looking at. Now, if he's not sitting out there, I mean, if Joe Flacco is obviously out there, I would want him. But if not him, I still think somebody like Aaron Rodgers is interesting just because of the matchup. The last time these 2 teams played, Aaron Rodgers went off, scored like 24 fantasy points in that game. This matchup sets up really well for Aaron Rodgers too because the Bengals are so bad against tight ends, and obviously the Steelers are very tight end heavy. They run a lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets, and so we kind of saw it the last time where Jonnu and mainly, I mean, Patty Fry went absolutely nuclear in that game, and so like it sets up well as a schematic matchup at home for Aaron Rodgers. He is a little bit more touchdown dependent because in his 2 games that he scored 20 fantasy points, or both games that he threw 4 touchdowns, and all other games he scored like under like 16 fantasy points. So it is a little bit boom or bust type of spot for Aaron Rodgers. I think Tua is kind of interesting too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Tua has not been great this year. He's averaging 13.7. So there's like the quarterback 28 in fantasy points per game. But I mean, this is an elite matchup. The Commanders are really bad. They're allowing 273.7 passing yards, 2.2 touchdowns per game. Overall, they're allowing the fourth most fantasy points to quarterbacks. So I do think Tua is at least viable. And if you really want to get in the weeds, Geno Smith has been even worse than Tua, averaging just 13 fantasy points per game. But the Cowboys have allowed the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. And now with Brock Bowers back healthy, I think we could see something similar to what Geno did, 2 weeks ago against the Jags, where he put up 284 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 27 fantasy points in that game. And that's the game that Brock Bowers went nuclear as well. So I think Geno is also kind of like, if you're really desperate, as another play with a really good matchup. Start Herbert or Williams? It's definitely Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, top 3 quarterback play. Like I've said, like I just talked about, the Jaguars' pass defense is horrendous. I mean, we just saw, uh, um, I can't think of his name now. The quarterbacks, and I'll remember it. Davis Mills. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. We just saw Davis Mills throw for 300 yards and a couple touchdowns against that defense. So Davis Mills had a huge game against that team. So I give me Justin Herbert there. I'm not as high on Caleb Williams as a lot of other people are this week. I know this UT's have placed earlier in the year in week 1, but overall this year, for the most part, Caleb Williams has done really bad against pressure. Right now, his completion percentage when seeing pressures 44%, which ranks 33rd among all quarterbacks. And so it's not the best schematic matchup. Now he has been, obviously a pretty solid, especially the last couple of weeks, but that was against Cincinnati and the Giants, where this feels a little bit more like the Baltimore type game, where I think that he's going to struggle a little bit. And so I'm a little bit lower on Caleb Williams this week than most people are. So I would easily go Justin Herbert. Do you think Stroud plays this week? If not, should I start Travion or Swift in a standard league? I already have Javonte and CMC at running backs. Give me Travion, but I don't think Stroud plays this week. He didn't practice today. And so for the concussion protocol, like you really, especially coming off a week where he missed, like you really would have wanted to see him come back and get a limited practice. Because basically, they come back, they get a limited in, and then the next day they get a full, and then usually by Friday is when they get cleared. So if the fact that he hasn't even gotten into practice yet tells me that it sounds like that he's going to not play. And it makes sense. They're playing the Titans. It feels like a game that they can control. And obviously, maybe they want to see a little bit more what Davis Mills could do, because I mean, Davis Mills played really well last week. And so, not that I think that they're going to sit CJ Stroud, but I think for fantasy purposes, we actually want Davis Mills because he hyper targets Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz. So, yeah, but I don't think Stroud plays. Alex, I traded Nico and Barkley for JSN and ETN week 4, then later traded ETN and Gatson for Buka. What do you think of my trades? Did you just come on here to brag? Because those are very well done. So basically, you traded Nico and Barkley and ETN and Gatson for JSN and Egbuka, basically, what you did there. And I think that's really good. I mean, JSN has just been the most consistent wide receiver all year. I mean, he's the number 1 fantasy wide receiver. He's been awesome. He's been matchup. He's not matchup dependent. Let me put it that way. And Egbuka looks like he's been phenomenal. So, love to see that. So yeah, I think he did really well. Chris, trade Kamara and Marvin Harris Jr. for either Pittman, Waddle, McConkey, or Higgins. I mean, I would trade them for any of them. But if I had to rank them, it would be Waddle, then McConkey, and then Higgins, and then Pittman, I think. Yeah. Especially with Joe Burrow, look like he's coming back. Marvin Harris Jr. obviously suffered an appendectomy or appendicitis today, underwent surgery. He's going to be out probably a week or two. And then Kamara, he looked good last week, but that was also a really good game script for him. Jake, so no Darnold. I'm on waivers now. You like Brissett. I don't mind Darnold in this matchup against the Rams. It's just a tougher matchup. the Rams defense has been pretty solid for the most part this year. I love Brissett though. Like I said, I don't mind Darnold as QB 14. I love the matchup for Jacoby Brissett here against the 49ers. So I would lean Brissett. And like I said, with Brissett, if needed, you can also start him again next week if Jackson Dart, right? And isn't that who you had? Yeah, Dart. Okay. So you had Jackson Dart. And like I said, if Jackson Dart were to miss again next week, Brissett plays the Jaguars next week, which is an even better matchup. And so, like, Brissett's somebody you can plug in for the next 2 weeks. Also, appreciate the membership. We do have memberships out there. And now, instead of having to do like a super chat or anything like that, I do offer memberships, and your question goes to the front of the line with membership. So I do appreciate that. There, Jake. Where was I at? So Flacco or Brissett for you. I'm juggling IR at the moment before I grab one for Dart. So, I mean, when it comes to Flacco's obviously a great play this week. I mean, Flacco has been, like I said, just on another world since taking over as a starting quarterback for this team. I just assume Flacco wouldn't be sitting out there. But since Flacco's taking over, he has posted 3 straight games, scoring 24 or more fantasy points. He's averaging 313 passing yards, nearly 3 passing touchdowns, and 25.5 fantasy points in the 4 games he started for the Bengals, which would make him the QB1 over that span. Excuse me. And honestly, the Steelers have been horrible against quarterbacks. They were allowing 299 passing yards, 1.7 touchdowns, 2 quarterbacks. Flacco will be like I said, Flacco's a top 10 quarterback for me this week. So just for this week, give me Flacco for sure. And then secondly would be Brissett. But like I said, with Brissett, you get him playing in the 49ers next week, or no, the Jaguars next week, where, let me see. I'm not even sure who the Bengals play next week. They play the Patriots at home next Sunday. So yeah, I mean, I think it's close, but like I slightly lean Flacco just because of the matchup this week. If you definitely need to win this week, I would probably go Flacco. But over the next 2 weeks, I think it's Brissett. I mean, there is the outside chance too. I think when it comes to him, is that you're going to maybe if the outside chance that Joe Burrow comes back next week. I doubt it, but I mean, I guess it's always a possibility. Stroud, Purdy, Darnold start one if all are healthy. It's definitely not Stroud. I think when it comes to Purdy, he literally would probably slide right in where Mac Jones is, honestly, against Arizona. So give me Sam Darnold. TreVeyon Henderson or Jaylen Warren. Give me Jaylen Warren. I got Jaylen Warren as a top 12 running back this week. Love Jaylen Warren against Cincinnati. Love Henderson as well. But give me Jaylen Warren. Patty Fry or Pitts. I'm going to go Pitts. I got Pitts as a top 10 tight end. I mean, he's basically been like their tight end one. He's been like their wide receiver 2 for this team. Rest of season, 2 quarterbacks, Goff, Dak, Darnold. Rest of season, I would go Dak and Goff. Mainly because Darnold just they just don't throw the ball as much. Like, Darnold's been incredible, but they just don't throw the ball that much. Honestly. I mean, last week, it was crazy. Darnold had a great game, had a solid game, but they only threw the ball 13 times against the Cardinals. Keep one, White, Hunt, Pacheco. I mean, it's tough because Bucky's back at practice. I would expect Bucky Irving to be back playing next week. I don't think he plays this week. But it does sound like Bucky's probably back next week. Where Pacheco's not going to play this week. I would be shocked if he played, but he's week to week. I guess you probably just drop Pacheco, because I would bet when Bucky Irving comes back, he probably doesn't have the same role that he had before. So it's probably a little bit more of a committee with Rashad White. So I guess Rashad Pacheco, who's probably going to be out at least for the next couple of weeks. Maybe when he comes back. At this point, I don't think it matters. Yeah, fuck the Jets. We finally sold out to the draft and got back to two back return for a touchdown with negative offensive yards. That was just a wild game. I think at halftime, Justin Fields had like 5 attempts or something like that in that game. I never understand that these teams that come out and win, especially the teams that are at the bottom, especially the teams that desperately need a quarterback for next year. Like the Jets are definitely one of those teams that like need a quarterback for next year that can use, especially with all of the assets that they're acquiring. Now they could they had assets in the draft picks now to be able to trade up for a tight or a quarterback, but why do that? Just lose out. Like I would be starting I would be starting Brady Cook every week if I was the Jets. I know Aaron Glenn's trying to win games, help his job, but I don't know. Like it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah. Hey man, this is my team for the rest of the season. What do you think? Drake May, love that. Henderson, Juckins, Jason, Akbuka, McBride, Justin Jefferson, Bench, Woody, Bucky, Harvey, Wandale, Loveland, Pierce, to a 10 man. Really solid team, especially once Bucky comes back. Which, like I said, it sounds like he'll be back next week. But you might have hit something here with RJ Harvey if J.K. Dobbins gets placed on IR. Woody Marks looks like he's taken over as a starting running back for that team. Love that. McBride's obviously been a monster. Jason's been a monster. Jake May is a MVP candidate so far this year. I think it's a really, really solid team. What is your record? I'm curious. How do you feel about Caleb rest of season? He's my QB1 now that JD5 and Burrow is coming back. I'm nervous. He's not going to be enough. He's hit or miss. Like he's fine. He's been. I think he's like a top 8. I think he's averaging 20.7 fantasy points per game. Like there's stuff to like with him. There's going to be frustrating times, especially in certain matchups. But for the most part, like he's been a pretty solid fantasy quarterback so far this year. I think he's been a better fantasy quarterback than he has been a real live quarterback for the most part. But he also gives you a little bit on the ground as well. 3 rushing touchdowns this year. He's top 10 carries per game, yards per game for a quarterback. So that's a plus. Like I think as a fantasy quarterback is concerned, I think he's a pretty solid fantasy quarterback. But yeah. Is Mills worth a start over Travion Swift or Shaheed at a flex at a standard league? I would be dropping Ban and starting to have Kelsey at tight end. So I'm assuming this is a super flex league, is what you're saying. If you're asking, would you start Mills over? Yeah, I would start Mills over Rashid Shaheed. If there's an option, if it's all 3 of these guys are in play. I would start Davis Mills over, especially against the Titans. I know they're going to try to be run heavy, but that doesn't mean that, they're not going to be able to throw the ball. Davis Mills, for what it's worth, played pretty well last week against the Jags. Now, the Jags are terrible, but yes, I would play Davis Mills over Rashid Shaheed. Anyway, would you flex Harvey or Debo? Give me RJ Harvey. Yeah. Yeah, give me RJ Harvey and hope you just don't get Sean Payton. For flex, Tucker, Tez, or Slayton. Give me Trey Tucker. It is close between those 3, but I have Trey Tucker ranked just ahead of all 3 of those, or all the other 2, I should say. So when it comes to Trey Tucker, I know the last time he played last week in the first game without Jacoby Myers, he had 2 for 28. But this is still a player who runs 100% of the routes. Obviously, this is a much better matchup for Trey Tucker than what that was against the Broncos. The Cowboys allow the second most PPR points to wide receivers. Obviously, Brock Bowers is still going to be the focal point, but I think Trey Tucker could probably earn 5 to 7 targets in this game. So I just think he's a slightly better option than the other two options that you have here. So give me Trey Tucker. Which two tight ends would you keep rest of season? Ertz, Andrews, Kincaid, or Juwan Johnson? Kincaid and Juwan Johnson. I mean, very much. Zach Ertz is a product of Jaden Daniels. Like we haven't seen Marcus Mariota really target Zach Ertz like a ton uh, since he's been the tight end or the quarterback. Sorry. So yeah, give me Kincaid and Juwan Johnson. Asking for my other league, Brissett or Flacco. I'm thinking Flacco because Harrison won't play. Also need help with 3 receivers and a flex. Debo, Slayton, Tez, Keenan Allen, Jennings, Myers, or Ferguson. So yeah, I would agree. I would go Flacco regardless, even if Marv played. Um, I would still go Flacco. Just the spot's incredible. It's best. It's the best matchup for quarterback. The Steelers are terrible against opposing quarterbacks. So give me Brissett or give me Flacco easily on that. And then for wide receiver, give me Juwan Jennings for sure. And I would put Jake Ferguson in as a flex too. Top 5 tight end play this week against the Raiders. And then I would go Debo over the other couple options you have. And you already have Kittle in for tight end. Okay. Okay, Pearsall will be a high end wide receiver too rest of season if he's healthy. And how are you ranking Myers now that Hunter is out? So yeah, I mean Pearsall can be a high end wide receiver too, for sure. Like we've seen it before. When it comes to Ricky Pearsall, I think the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season when he was playing, he was like top 5 in receiving yards. Like he was playing really well before he got hurt. It's just I mean he's missed the last 6 weeks of the year. So um now how does he look come back? But like I said, when he comes back, he's gonna be 100% healthy because they are being extra cautious with him. So I would still go with Ricky Pearsall as as he's still a strong rest of season play once he finally comes back. And then how are you ranking Myers? Like I just don't really trust this offense in general, this passing attack. Honestly, you're still going to have Brian Thomas Jr. and you're still going to have Parker Washington to deal with when it comes to Jacoby Myers. Like I think Jacoby Myers could have some decent weeks, but like he's still probably like a wide receiver 4/5. Like he's more of just a flex play than anything. Junkins or Woody Marks? Give me Woody Marks. I am not high on Quinshon Junkins this week. Junkins is very, very game script dependent. And if you look at, so I have Junkins as an RB3 play this week. It's just he's super, super game script dependent. If they fall behind quickly to the Ravens, which I expect they will, then he is going to get sent off to the shadow realm. Like he won't play. You'll see Jerome Ford, you'll see Dylan Sampson. He won't get as many touches, and so that's what worries me about Quinshon Judkins. So give me the other option. No biggie. Appreciate the super chat. Start one. Tez, Tet, or Mac versus the Jets. Hmm. And who is Mac? Why am I like I'm like trying to rack my brain on who Mac is? Am I crazy here? With the options you have here, because I'm not sure who Mac is. Oh, Mac Hollins. That I don't know why. It took me a minute for that to come to me. I know Mac Hollins is coming off a big game. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, it took me a minute. My bad. For it to register that it was Mac Hollins. I was like, ooh. I was going through other wide receivers, and it never hit me. Then all of a sudden, right before you said it, that was Mac Hollins. But I think he's fine. Like I know he had a little bit more targets last week, and he's their deep threat. But they spread the ball around so much. I just don't know if you can trust him. I wouldn't be able to trust them. If this feels like a really gross game tomorrow night, that the in terms of like I just think the Patriots roll the Jets tomorrow, and I I would I would rather play. Give me Tez Johnson. Yeah, give me Tez Johnson in that environment against the Bills. Now, I will say, so this is something I do want to say though, is with that game is we need to check the weather for that game because right now it is Wednesday. It is a long time away. Weather changes drastically over time, but it is in Buffalo, and they're calling for 20 to 25-mile-an-hour sustained winds with 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Um, if that's what we get, which would be like a lot like the Browns game which against the Dolphins, where they just didn't throw the ball at all. This game, that's exactly what this game could turn into if that holds. And so I would definitely want to. I generally don't care about weather. I don't really care all that much about rain or snow. None of that stuff's really that big of a deal unless it's like a blizzard. But wind is one that definitely will matter and affect how these teams operate and how much they throw. So I would want to monitor that situation because if that's what happens, then like if it's 25, 30-mile-an-hour sustained winds in Buffalo, I would be very much against playing pretty much any of the pass catchers outside of like maybe Shakir because he's such a short target um, guy. Maybe I mean so like I would probably stay away from Tez at that point if that's what came. Then I'd probably just shift over to Tet McMillan. So and I have Tez and Tet McMillan very close to each other anyway. Again, appreciate the super chat on that. Trying to figure out where I was at. I don't want to feel like I missed some questions. There we are. Seattle, Dallas, or Pittsburgh defense. Give me Seattle. Or I think it's actually no. Or yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. I thought I had Seattle ahead of Dallas. I do like Dallas' defense this week. I think they're kind of a sneaky play. But I would lean um I would lean Seattle. Shannon, start three, bench one. Juckins, Henry, Woody, Henderson. Oh, just bench Quinyon or Quinshawn Juckins for sure. I have Chase Brown and Jamar Chase. You think I should bench Bo Nix to pick up Flacco? Not sure if it's too risky to start all of those Bengals. I could bench Chase Brown for my cover. No, I don't think it's actually that crazy. I mean, like, so like if I know DFS and season long are different, but like that's exactly what that is. It's like an elite stack right there to pick up Flacco because one, we saw Chase Brown the last time he played that he saw 14 targets in that game. Chase Brown also played 95% of the snaps, which is very much like he did last year. That's because Samaje Perine suffered an injury. Um, and so I think when it comes to this, like it's not a bad play because the Bengals and that Steelers game is a really high total. This game could go absolutely nuclear again. Now it is a divisional game, so there is the chance that this game gets a little bit weird, and maybe it's in Pittsburgh this time, not Cincinnati, so maybe things are a little bit different. But overall, this sets up really well for the Bengals passing game and the Bengals passing attack, and you're basically getting all the points from this game if you play Flacco, Chase, and Brown. You're pretty much picking up all those points. Where I don't love Bo Nix at all. I am not high on Bo Nix at all this week. Bo Nix has looked really bad for the most part this year. Outside of playing like some of the worst defenses in the league, the Chiefs are going to treat this like a playoff game because they need this win. They're 5-4. They can't, especially with it being a divisional game. So I expect the Chiefs coming off a bye are going to treat this like a playoff game. They are going to come in and not mess around here with this game. And so I am worried about Bo Nix as an option this week. So I still think he's like a borderline QB2. Like he's a middle of the pack QB2 for me, but I don't love Bo Nix. So I would definitely want to play Flacco over Bo Nix. You already answered mine. I got Brissett if this Dart thing lasts longer. Like that. I think that's a good play, especially with the Jaguars coming up. Should I trade Henry and ETN for Cook and Mononga? I already have CMC. Yeah, I'm fine with doing that. I mean, I think you get an upgrade with James Cook. Jason, will you trade Vidal, got Hampton, Tet for any of these running backs? Hall, Juckins, Jalen Warren, ETN, Swift, or Aaron Jones. My current running back is Rico, Hampton, and White. Bucky's back soon. Kamara and Pollard. So you have Hampton as well to trade Vidal, Tet for any of these running backs. I mean, I would do it for Brees Hall or Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren has been really good this year. And then Brees Hall is going to be a more boomer bust, but I still think it's an upgrade, especially once Amari and Hampton comes back. And then Ted, like I just, and you have Rico too. So yeah, and I mean Ted just hasn't. I mean, it's not Ted's problem. Like I think Ted's been really good. It's been a Bryce. It's been a Bryce Young problem. Should I drop Garrett Wilson at this point? I mean, it sounds like he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. I really wouldn't be surprised if they just shut him down. Like I don't. They've already. I mean, I don't see any reason for them to keep playing. So like, I don't hate it. What's up? Bakes a lot. I would start Brady at this point. Also, with all the picks the Jets got now, I might not even draft a quarterback this year. 2027 quarterback class looks to be better. They got 3 firsts. You follow the draft at all? Yes, yeah, I definitely follow the draft. I mean, I think I will say this. I think fantasy people, especially like season long, like redraft players, don't follow like that type of stuff enough as they should. I think there's a real edge to really understanding like who a lot of these guys are like before the season gets here. Um, and so I follow the draft a ton. Like I covered all the way up until the draft, then after the draft. So yes, this year's quarterback class doesn't really look as strong because I don't think Lenora Sellers probably comes out. Sounds like he's gonna might come back, maybe even transfer from South Carolina to another team, and then enter the 2027 draft as well. So yeah, and I agree. The 2027 draft looks like it could be absolutely loaded. That's the draft that we should see. Um, but Ryan Williams should be out in that group. Um, the why is his name escaping me? The Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah, I think. But yeah, that 2027 draft. So I mean, I could see it as well. There's been some rumors too that the Jets might end up trading for a quarterback. Like I would not do that unless it's like Joe Burrow, which I don't see that happening. You're 7-3. Okay. So yeah, that's a really solid team that you have. Where do you have Jameis ranked this week? He was awesome fantasy, but not afraid to air it out. Yes, he is. He's awesome. But I just don't know. I mean, just isn't a great matchup. I have Jameis ranked at QB. Let me take this down so you can see it. QB 24. I probably should have him higher, honestly. Just because you're right, like just his ability, like his just not giving a fuck attitude and just airing it out. He's a true gunslinger, but it's just not a great matchup. Green Bay's pass defense, for the most part, this year has been really good, and so that's what worries me for Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston can also turn the ball over a lot as well. So it does work. He. This just isn't the spot that I would want to fire up Jameis Winston if I had to. I guess let's put it that way. Yeah. Would you stash Tyler Bidet, as they call him? I guess apparently, he went to Mizzou, and like I'm for the not that anybody cares, but I'm a Mizzou fan, Missouri Tiger fan. So I just always hate my life because they let me down all the time. But anyways, like everybody always call him Tyler Beatty. Like I never heard anybody ever call him Tyler Bidet, but apparently he says that's how it's actually pronounced. I guess he's never corrected anybody in college, so it's actually Tyler Bidet, not Tyler Beatty. But anyway, I don't know if he's really a stash because I just don't know how much opportunity they let him have, or is this just a full on committee? Like I guess like for a 1 week just to see how this plays out. I guess it's not a terrible idea. But I'm torn on flexing Debo, Troy Franklin, or Amari DiMercato. I'm leaning DiMercato. If we find out that Bam Knight and obviously Trey Benson are out, then I do think DiMercato probably moves up. I have him as like a low end RB2 right now. But I think if we were to find out, if we are for sure that Bam Knight and Trey Benson are out, which I don't think Trey Benson plays, it sounded like Jonathan Gannon made it sound like he's not going to play this week, that he's getting closer, but he's day to day. So I don't think he plays. So I do think DeMarcado makes the most sense, and it is a good matchup. Um, so trade accepted by league was Debo and Shaheed for JSN as commish. I have to veto, right? Oh man. So Rabbit, here's the thing. I do not believe in vetoing trades unless you can prove that it's pure collusion. Like if it was like the team that had JSN was in last place, and the guy who traded for Debo and Shaheed was like in first place or second place, and it was clear that the other team wasn't going to make it, and then all of a sudden this trade happens. Like maybe I would have issues, but I'm not a fan of just like because obviously this isn't a good trade. I will be the first to tell you that. Yes, obviously JSN has been phenomenal. Debo and just Shaheed just is nowhere close to enough for someone like JSN. But like I just don't love the idea of vetoing because sometimes people do dumb things and people will think, oh well, I only have JSN. I think maybe and people will believe that he's gonna have a bigger role, and then Debo, whatever. Like, so I guess it just comes down to like, is it true? Is it true collusion? Can you prove it's collusion? Because like I said, I am just generally speaking not a big time person who loves to do that. Let's see. Vidal, Harvey, or Hall PPR. Give me Kamani Vidal against the Chargers. Yeah. Do you like best for playoff highest potential? Luther Burden, Alec Pierce, Terry McLaurin, PPR. It would be probably. I guess it's probably at this point Alec Pierce, but like I think the highest potential would be Luther Burden, right? But I just don't know if they will truly turn to him because there's really no reason in the world that Olamide Zacchaeus should be out here still running more routes and doing the stuff that he's getting more playing time than Luther Burden. Like if anybody watched that game last week against the Giants, and once DJ Moore went down, like and Luther Burden finally, he played like 49% of the snaps, ran about 50% of the routes, like which is by far the most he has all year. Like he looks like one of the best wide receivers they have on that roster. Super explosive. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands after the catch. I think there's a lot of upside there, but there's also the scenario where they just keep his role the same this year. That's the only thing that worries me. But Alec Pierce has been really good, really over the last month of the year. So I would probably rank it Alec Pierce, Luther Burden, and Terry McLaurin. I would love to say Terry McLaurin too, but like it's just been a injury riddled season. So George, start two non PPR. Henderson, Harvey, Marks. So give me Henderson and Marks for that one. Should I get Harvey and play him for Hall? I would probably lean Hall. Harvey should get most of the carries. So I don't know because that's what you'd assume, right? But like I don't know. Sean Payton does some weird things. I mean, honestly, look at Javonte last year. That's a great example with this team. Javonte was a complete just committee back last year, and then Javonte heads over to Dallas and just looks phenomenal all year. I don't know. Like I would assume too, like that Harvey should be the true workhorse and get most of the work. But I'll also say, like I've said, this is not a great matchup for running backs. The Chiefs have been really good against opposing running backs this year for the most part all year, outside of uh, James Cook. And like James Cook was the first running back I think in the last 2 years that has had over 100 yards rushing against the Chiefs. So like the Chiefs have been incredible against running backs, and so I just don't know. And you tend to see teams do dumb things against the Chiefs and go away from the run and try to throw the ball a ton because they try to be more aggressive because of they're playing the Chiefs instead of like really committing to the run and trying to limit their their drives. And so that's the only thing that worries me about that RJ Hardy. I think we already got that one. And a redraft star 8 PPR league, one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, two flex, one tight end. My quarterback is Nix, Dart. Running backs are Brown, Mason, Hendo, Marks, Junkins, and then CD, London, Tez, Keenan, Ridley, Kittle. Who should I package to upgrade running back, wide receiver? I mean, the tough part here is like you're kind of like you'd be like robbing, because I think the only way you really would be able to do it, like I don't think you really truly need to. I mean, because CD and London obviously are your two best options, but trading CD Lamb, like it kind of just cons like it's just I think it just creates another issue. Like if you were to trade CD for like a high end running back, then like you're just kind of creating another hole. Where I think your running backs are actually probably fine because I mean Chase Brown, like I've said, with Samaje Perine being out, like his role is massive. Woody Marks looks like he's the guy, and then Travion Henderson. If he can continue this, then I mean he could end up being like a league winner down the stretch. Junkins is somebody you can plug in as a flex when needed. You can only start two wide receivers anyway, so CD and London are obviously weekly just absolute must starts. They've had their buys, so that's a positive as well. And so I don't think right now, I don't think there's a lot you're gonna be able to do. I think I would just play the waiver wire and stuff like that because like that was great. Hit the wrong button and backed out of the studio. So that was awesome. Anyways, so yeah, I don't think there's a lot that's I think you're fine with what you have here. Like unless you can get like a king's ransom for like a CD Lamb, I think is about the only way, or maybe Drake London coming off the game that he's coming off of, where you might be able to like buy low on another wide receiver plus add a running back into it. It's just tough without being able to see everybody's other teams. So yeah, I guess maybe try to find a team that was like a little bit less at wide receiver. I don't know. It makes it tough without seeing everybody else's team. But overall, I still think this team is in a decent spot. Yeah, but like really, we really need to pay attention, Jake, to see if this is what's going to happen. Like it could easily drop down. And it's not that big of a deal. Like if it's 15-mile-an-hour winds, I don't care. It's not really good. Then I don't really doesn't really change my opinion on that game, and I'd be fine with playing everybody else to them. Right now, it's just I'd rather wait and see him. It's only Wednesday. Is the slight 80 Mitchell hype nonsensical? Like I think he's talented. I think he is a talented wide receiver, but excuse me. He's done a lot of dumb things. Obviously, like the drop right before he got in the end zone. Like, I think there's talent there, but like I don't know if he ever figures it all out. Problem is, like, who else? Like, I mean, I don't really love Justin Fields as a thrower. Obviously, I think they'd be better off going with somebody else because he's just not very good. And at that point, 80 Mitchell, but there is nobody else there, and so like maybe he gets a little bit more run than he typically would. Obviously, because he's the only wide receiver. But like, I don't think it's something that I would like count on or believe that like you're gonna like he's gonna be some big hit or like a league winning type wide receiver in this offense with Justin Fields. Do I try and get Jinty or Cook? I mean, Jinty might be an interesting one that you might be able to package, like especially like maybe a Junkins, and I don't know who the other player. You probably have to be another running back. Maybe like a Jordan Mason and hope maybe that was enough. I don't know if I don't think it would be, but I don't know. I mean, it's not like Jinty's been like phenomenal this year, so like I think that could be a buy low candidate that you could look into. Because I wouldn't want to trade Travion Henderson. I'm not trading Chase Brown. I don't think either. And I'd rather hold on to Marks too. I mean, honestly. So I mean, you have a lot of depth. I think trading them, but if you had to, I guess I would be okay with Marks too as well as an option you could throw in there. Let's see. Would you start Mills over Travion or I would start him over. I think I would be okay with starting Davis Mills over DeAndre Swift. I think not Henderson. Thanks, man. Start QJ or Jennings / Pearsall this week. Also start Rashad White, Harvey, or Montgomery PPR league. Right. Give me Rashad White just slightly. So I have Rashad White at 22, RG Harvey at 23, and then I have Monty at 28. Jeremiah Smith. Yes, that's who it was. That's right. That's right. That's what I thought it was. But yeah, because he's going to be in that draft too. Like it's going to be. I think maybe Ryan Wingo might be in that draft too. Like that draft is going to be incredible. 2027 is like going to be the year. The draft's going to be phenomenal. Should I flex Diggs or Aaron Jones this week? I would go Stephon Diggs. Do you think Drink is going to leave to go to Penn State? I don't know. Like it seems like I'm starting to see more and more stuff about that. Here's the thing to me, like would be crazy about this. I actually texted Cody about this because obviously he's a big Penn Stater. Is that it'd be hilarious if they did move on from James Franklin to go to Drink because Eli Drinkowitz has like routinely underperformed. Like he's 1-8 or 0-8 versus teams that are ranked inside the top 10, and he's like 7 for 15 teams ranked inside the top 25. Like so, he has routinely never won the big game with Missouri, and Missouri's had some like really good teams, and so like. And I feel like that's really been James Franklin's biggest problem. Like he's a really good recruiter. He puts together really good rosters, but then like he could never just win that big game. Where I feel like you're getting the same thing from Drinkwitz. So I mean, now maybe Drinkwitz does a better job in the Big Ten. I mean, the Big Ten doesn't have all the teams the SEC does, where you have Ohio State and Michigan on most years to deal with, and I guess Indiana now. Indiana should be put in that mix of the Big Ten, but like it's not as I think heavy overall in terms of teams as you are in the SEC. But I don't know. Like it still seems wild to me because Eli is he's still among the top 10 highest paid coaches in all of college football. And so like it would seem kind of crazy to me that he would leave Missouri to go to Penn State when he's already and like your job security is much better at Missouri. Like Missouri's not going to run off Eli Drinkwitz anytime soon. He would have to have multiple like back to back like really bad seasons for that to happen. And Missouri, like when it comes to nil, like they're among near the top. Like they have a ton of nil money to pay out. So like I don't think that's an issue either in terms of that. But I am starting to see more and more about the Eli Drinkwitz stuff going to leaving Missouri to go to Penn State. I just think it'd be funny, just in terms of like who they are and like how their resumes are pretty similar to leave and get a guy like that again. So, but I will say, if he left, then I think he probably takes a lot of the. There's some. I think he takes some players with him, and I would hate that for Missouri. Should I trade Tyler Algiers and Debo for Njoku and for Waddle and Marks? So should I trade Tyler Algier and Debo for David Njoku? Oh, sorry, Tyler Algier, Debo, and Njoku for Waddle and Marks. Yes, I do that all day. Clutch. Tracy, Mason, Tucker, Corum, Robinson. Start one, and who would you stash rest of the season? I'm in running back hell. So I would start Tyrone Tracy this week, and then I would stash Blake Corum. I would like to stash Brian Robinson too, but I just would slightly lean towards Blake Corum. Because Sean Tucker's about to be useless. Mason, I don't care about. AD Mitchell's going to be a sneaky waiver wire pickup. The problem is with him, like, yes, sure. Like, yes, he's going to see probably more opportunity. Maybe he gets a little bit more, but like this passing offense has been so bad for most of the year. It just makes it really hard to really see like AD Mitchell all of a sudden being this like huge ad. Like there might be a few weeks where he has some good games. I wouldn't be shocked, but I just can't see where like this turns into something that like you like need to have him. Super Dave, what is going on? Woody Marks or Devonta Smith? Give me Woody Marks. Need one wide receiver, two flex, and a tight end PPR. Watson, Dortch, Burden, Ferguson, Fannin, DeMercado, Sean Tucker, Malik Washington was dropped. Is he worth an ad over Dortch? Dortch is crazy. I feel like we talk about him every year because like he's always is overlooked, but he always tends to produce when he gets opportunity. He just doesn't get opportunity all the time. But I think he probably slides in now and it's probably like the slot wide receiver. I mean, Michael Wilson, I think, is another player that like just doesn't get enough love. And with Jacoby Brissett, that maybe he's like a better play. But if DJ Moore is out, though, I would go Luther Burden. I like Luther Burden a lot. Um, and then at flex, I would go. A tight end, we're definitely playing Jake Ferguson. That's not even in question. And then I would flex DeMercado. I think Sean Tucker too is a really interesting play. He's averaged like 11 carries or 11 touches per game over his last two games. Buffaloes are really bad against opposing running backs too. Like he's an interesting play this week as well. It's kind of like a desperation play. But I think if we happen to see Matthew Golden out again, I think I'd probably go Christian Watson as the other option. So I think I would go Burden if DJ Moore's out. If DJ Moore's in, then I would just slide over to Watson and play DeMercado. And I just don't think I can play Greg Dortch. Like I would love to, and I wouldn't shock me if he goes out and has like 7 for 90. Like it really would. But I just think it's a little bit too risky to do that. And so I think I would go with Watson, DeMercado, and Tucker. Yeah. And then we're starting Ferguson no matter what. Is Rashad Smith a decent stash? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think anything changes. There might be a couple games here and there where he might do something, but like I don't think anything's going to change. I think he's going to be relegated to 4 to 6 touches every game. Should I trade Deebo Samuel and Aaron Jones for Wan'Dale Robinson and DK Metcalf? I mean, I guess I'm fine with that. Like, I mean, you know what? Actually, I probably wouldn't do it. More, I don't love DK Metcalf, and like teams are just taking him away, is what's happening, and they said because the Steelers have no other number 2 option, and teams are okay with just completely taking him away, and they're also not really utilizing him correctly. Like I would be trying to get him into the slot and do all different and try to get him, open in space, but they're and try to get separation, with his routes, but they just don't do that with him. And so I don't really love DK Metcalf, and he's a really bad play this week. DJ Turner is the corner for the Bengals, and like he's done a really good job. Like people were like perplexed with why Rome Odunze only saw 0 targets in that game when they played the Bengals, but it's because DJ Turner locked him up. Like DJ Turner's been doing that for most of the year, and so I'm not really all that excited to play DK Metcalf this week either. But and Wandale is just a very short intermediate guy, where Aaron Jones is actually starting to look better and better. I think I'd rather just have Aaron Jones and Deebo Samuel. Would you try to trade Gibbs for Achane due to Achane's fantastic schedule and crazy high projections on floor? I would not. It is really close, though. I mean, I obviously love both of these running backs, but I think because they're so close, like Devon Achane is also like a Tua Tagovailoa injury away from. We know how bad that gets when that happens, and so I would rather just have Gibbs since they're so close. And obviously, if something happened to David Montgomery, we know what happens with Jahmyr Gibbs, that he just goes absolutely nuclear. Do you feel better about Pearsall or Jennings rest of season worth rostering both? Yeah, I think they're both worth rostering for sure. I guess at this point, I probably would lean Jennings because he's the healthier of the two. Half point PPR, pick two running backs: Henry, Brown, ETN, or Henderson. Give me Chase Brown. Henry seems to be a hot name this week. So I'm going to say the same thing when it comes to this, especially in half point PPR. I probably go Brown and Henry. It makes it really tough to sit Henry. I think Henry is probably the safer floor play if it's, but I think Henderson still has a higher ceiling than Henry does, just because the Browns have been so good against the run this year. And so that worries the hell out of me when it comes to Derrick Henry. I mean, these teams have played already before, but and I think Derrick Henry in that game, I think he scored 2 touchdowns, but didn't do anything on the ground whatsoever. And they just threw the ball the entire game because the Browns are way more of a pass funnel uh, defense this year. I guess it was week 2. No, I take that back. He didn't even score a touchdown. Sorry, that was week 1. He scored 2 touchdowns, but that was against Buffalo. We had 182 yards and 2 scores. Week 2, he scored 2.3 fantasy points and scored 0 touchdowns. That's right. That's right. So yeah, I mean, I'll say the same thing. Like I said, like if I think my gut tells me, like, if it was just like gut feeling, like taking all the numbers and everything else out of it, I would probably, if it was my team, let me put it that way, and I was starting my lineup, I would probably play Chase Brown and Travion Henderson over Derrick Henry. But it's also Derrick Henry. This game's also um so, and I think he, like that, in that game he saw 11 carries. I don't know. But it's really tough to sit Derrick Henry. Thumbs up, love the show. We think like I appreciate it. And again, if you haven't hit that thumbs up, and hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Do appreciate all the support. Appreciate everybody being here rocking with us. What do we think of Calvin Early at this point in the season? I think that he's absolutely cooked. Honestly, to be fair, I don't think it's happening. I don't think anything. I mean, at this point, we're at week 11. I mean, it's actually. I mean, I know it's simple math, but like today, I was like thinking about, like, oh man, we only have 7 weeks left of the fantasy season, like in general, altogether. And it's just crazy that that's all we got left. And so at this point, I just don't think there's a lot to like for Calvin Ridley at all. So I'm okay with it, or I would be okay with dropping him. To be fair, Eddie Mitchell wanted, should I watch the Jets every week at pain? Yeah, I don't know who has it worse, like Jets fans or Browns fans. I guess maybe Browns fans. I don't know, because the Browns have just had such just sustain losing and just being bad every single year. But it would be brutal to be one of those two fans and like just having to watch this every single year. Yep, Kevin's best. I appreciate that. Michael Wilson has excellent hands. He's my sleeper this week. I had McBride, so not wise for him staying off waivers. I mean, McBride might just break the slate and just see 20 targets with Jacoby Brissett. But I think Michael Wilson is an interesting play with Marvin Harrison out and Jacoby Brissett at quarterback this week. So he's had, like, I don't want to say like big games, but I mean the last time against Seattle, he did see 7 targets in that game with Jacoby Brissett. I mean, he's seen 5, 4, 4, and 7 targets his last 4 games in the game, in the last couple with Brissett. So like he hasn't scored a touchdown or anything, but like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he scored like 15 fantasy points or something like that um, this week. So I think he's an interesting play. I don't know if I would want to play them both though. So Tucker, if more plays, yeah, correct. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't clear enough. I guess. I guess I was kind of all over the place. Ferguson or Kittle this week in my PPR league. I would go Kittle. It's really close. I like Ferguson. Sorry if you've already gone over this. Join late at the beginning. Yeah, I would go Kittle. I have Kittle just ahead of Ferguson. But if you could start both, like I'm not opposed to it. Like I think starting two tight ends this year has been a pretty good way to go for the most part this year. Should I flex Tyler Algier or Calvin Austin? I would go Algier. Home matchup against the Panthers. Panthers offense and defense, for that matter, seem to be reeling a little bit. I would probably go Tyler Algier and hope we get some not garbage time, but they get ahead and they're able to run the ball. Also, Tyler Algier on the season has 13 goal line carries just to 5 of Bijan Robinson. Like Tyler Algier is the preferred uh, goal line back for this team. So I think that's also a plus for Tyler Algier, I think on a weekly basis. But all are Kyron Williams is scared of Seattle this week. I would still go Kyron. I get it, but Kyron's still the goal line back there. He's going to get all those opportunities. So if they get down to the one, Kyron Williams is going to be the guy that gets that opportunity. I don't mind it all either, but I would still slightly lean Kyron. Forgot about AD Mitchell this week. What about Kyle Williams this Thursday? I mean, sure, if you think that he's going to get one catch for 70 yards again and a touchdown, but that's kind of been the life of the deep threat for the Patriots this year. I mean, Kayshon Bouttey's been the same way, where he sees 3 or 4 targets and somehow gets 100 yards and 2 scores. Or Matt Collins. I mean, again, it's the same thing, right? Someone grabbed Michael Wilson before me. I was thinking about putting in a claim from Lake Washington, but I need a kicker going to drop Dortch on Saturday, so it can't be used against me. Yeah, I mean, Greg Dortch is just. I feel like he always comes through whenever he finally gets opportunities, but I mean, this year he's done absolutely nothing. I mean, he hasn't even seen a target in 2 weeks. If you go back to last year, I guess even last year, I mean, I guess he had a couple games. He scored 11 week 1 and then didn't really do anything until week 18 where he scored 21.4. Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, so it was 2023. Yeah, because towards the end of the year, he finally got opportunity. He scored 13.6, 11.7, 12.5, 15.2. So yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think you're fine dropping Greg Dortch. Sorry, sometimes you get a little. My Charbonnet for Michael Pittman. I do that all day, every day, without even thinking about it. Michael Pittman's been a top 12 wide receiver. I'm 3-7, 1% chance to make the playoffs. I'm pretty much trying to play spoiler. I've had Harvey and Marks all. Dave, you know what? I honestly, I think I would play this like if you're 3-7, play it like the funnest part about that. Play it like it's a GPP, man. Like that's what I tell. Like that's what I would do. Like we're going straight ceiling, bro. Like who cares about like floors if you're 3-7? So like that way now now you got my DFS brain thinking here. Where was the original? So okay, so we're shooting straight ceiling. So Christian Watson has to be in play because he has the ability to score like go 4 for he can go 3 for 90 and a touchdown. So we got to play Christian Watson. Like I said, if DJ Moore is out, we want to play Luther Burden. But if DJ Moore were to play, we take him out of this scenario because I just don't think he sees enough work. And then we're going to go, like I said, Ferguson, DeMercado for sure, but you need one more flex after that. Malik Washington, I don't think offers a ceiling because I don't think he really has one. And then Fannin, I think, is interesting, against the Ravens, just because they're going to have to throw the ball against them. So I think Fannin could probably be put into that conversation. But like if you really are like wanting to just shoot for ceiling, like I don't know, like I guess AD Mitchell makes that kind of sense because he is a big threat wide receiver. He's a downfield threat. Like, could they hit one for a 70, or 50-yard touchdown to AD Mitchell? Like, I guess. Like, I think he has an extremely low floor too. Like, he could score zero. But like in terms of just overall ceiling, like a ceiling play, like he would be that 3K wide receiver that you'd plug into your lineups if you play DFS. That you plug into your lineups and hope that he gets a touchdown. So like he would probably be in the conversation though, with that. What's up, Philly Pod? The human Dorch. Yeah. Should I drop DJ Moore for Romeo Dobbs? I wouldn't drop DJ Moore unless it's like a really shallow league. I mean, unless this is like a 6-team league or something like that. I mean, I wouldn't want to drop DJ Moore. Like anything like 10 teams and above, I would not drop DJ Moore. I grabbed Juwan Johnson a couple weeks back. He's my handcuff for McBride, but he might be solid flex. Yeah, I mean for sure. I mean, he's seeing like a 22% target share right now. So yeah, I mean, I think he's a pretty solid. I have been starting Oronde Gatson and McBride for the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks. I think it's been. I have two in our home league. We have 2 flex spots. So I mean, I don't mind starting Juwan Johnson in a pinch. I have Brissett with Dart out. Love that. Harvey Marks at running back. Puka Rice, Watson, and 2 flex can be DeMarcado, Sean Tucker, and hope Ben Johnson plays more if DJ Moore's out. Yeah, so if DJ Moore's out, you go Burden and DeMarcado. I think it's pretty simple. Philly I got 2 trade offers I want to run by y'all if you don't mind. Got offered Stephon Diggs for my Odunze and DK Metcalf. For mine, okay, got offered Stephon Diggs for my Odunze and DK Metcalf. On Diggs for my Odunze and DK Metcalf. I think that's a bit much. Like Odunze is a bit much for Stephon Diggs. I know Odunze has had some struggles recently. Hasn't been as good as he was early in the season. Except for last week where he's 6 for 86 and score. So like I would want more. I mean, I think Odunze is a little bit more of a safer play on week to week basis than Stephon Diggs is. Okay, now I see. Okay, so now it makes a little bit more sense. So and DK Metcalf for my Ted. Okay, so it's Diggs for Odunze and then DK Metcalf for Ted. Ted is a good but so limited. Yes, he's extremely limited with Bryce Young. I wouldn't do the one for Diggs for Odunze. I want the Odunze side for sure. DK Metcalf for Ted. Like I guess it's fine. Like I've said, I don't love DK Metcalf. He's extremely boomer bust. Um, and they just don't utilize him correctly. I don't know why they don't try to do different things to get him the ball more. He doesn't really see as many targets as you think that he would for a guy that's being the only wide receiver they have. I mean, 6 targets per game is ridiculously low. So, like, I think that's the tough part when it comes to DK Metcalf. And I guess he's been like a wide receiver 3. Like, I probably would end up doing it. I don't like hate it for DK Metcalf, but I don't know when I would ever actually feel great about starting him. But I mean, he has had some better games earlier in the year, but the last 2 weeks really haven't been great for him at all. But those have also been a little bit tougher matchups, especially the Chargers matchup was not great for him. So I guess I'd be fine with doing the DK Metcalf one, but I would not do the Odunze one if it was me. Naylor could be sneaky. I think that I don't know. I feel like that was like a kind of out of the nowhere type of thing. Who's a good tight end to play this week? Ertz, or is there a good pickup player off the waiver? It just depends on who's available on waivers. Like, oh, I have them up. I want to bring up tight ends, and it's already there. Um, so, like I've said, like I love it. I love the Pittsburgh tight ends. I lean Jonnu Smith over Patty Fry. I know Patty Fry had a huge game the last time these two teams face off. I mean, he had that monster game. But Jonnu Smith is also running a little bit more routes. He's being a little bit more involved in the passing game. But the Bengals are absolutely dreadful against tight ends, like dreadful against tight ends. Noah Fant, I think, is also a good play as a streaming option this week. I've talked about him a lot recently, but he is more like the third target in this offense, but the Steelers also struggle against opposing tight ends. And so I think Fant's in play. Luke Musgrave saw a decent amount of targets last week, but they just weren't not accurate targets. But they get a much better matchup this week against the Giants. And so I think, last week he saw, or excuse me, he didn't see a ton of targets. He played 76% of the snaps and ran 82% of the routes. Like he ran 32 routes. That is what you want to see from a tight end. Obviously, the game was absolutely disgusting, 10-7. Like it was a brutal game across the board, but much better matchup this week. So I think Luke Musgrave makes some sense as a streaming option as well. But I think Musgrave, Jonnu, Fant, and Patty Fry, I think are all in play as like streaming tight ends this week. What wide receiver can you get from McBride? Like it would have to be an elite wide receiver. Like it, I'm not trading Trey McBride for a whole lot. Like he has been a wide receiver one. Like he's a tight end, but he's been a wide receiver one. That's the target share he's seeing every single week has been incredible. Jacoby Brissett looks like he's going to end up being the starter the rest of the way, which is incredible for him. But I mean, since Brissett's taken over, he's scored 21.2, 29.4, 16.5, and 27.1. Like he has been legitimately like a top five wide receiver. And so I don't even think it's worth trading him, to be honest with you. Just the just he's seeing a 28.9% target share. He's being targeted at 25.8% target per route run rate. He's number one in targets among all tight ends, averaging 10 targets per game. He's first in first read target rate. I mean, he's averaging 17.5 overall fantasy points this year. But like I've said, recently he's been much more averaging, over 20 fantasy points per game. Like he's on the level with Puka and JSN. And I think even just trading him for those guys, like it's kind of I mean, you could try that, but I don't think people would do it. But I mean, realistically, JSN has been phenomenal. Yeah, Ted is stable floor. DK schedule is nice. I already had his bye, so I was curious. Ted has a week 14, but yeah, I'm fine with doing it for DK Metcalf. Like I think DK is probably like rest of season. I would have higher than Ted, but it's not like incredibly higher. But I think that he's still probably a better play than on a weekly basis with Ted, than Ted is. I have some live best ball teams, so I get to hope this is yeah. Or do you play DFS at all? Like on DraftKings or whatever? Like, and even if I know a lot of people don't, but like once your teams are out, like I mean, going and throwing like $20 on DraftKings and playing, some of the smaller lineups where you can throw in like, the $1 or the 50 cent or stuff like that, just to get some action in, is a lot of fun too. I don't know if you play DFS or not, but Michael, trade deadline is tomorrow. I made a pretty big trade. My running backs were Jones, Bill, JT, and Bijan, so I could afford it and needed a wide receiver, but traded Henry, Ferg, Caleb, and Watson for Ridley, Jefferson, and Lamar. So obviously you got an upgrade at quarterback, Lamar for Caleb. So essentially you traded. I mean the Ridley thing. I don't really. Doesn't really do anything for me, but um, Justin Jefferson basically for Henry and Jake Ferguson. I'm assuming that's Derrick Henry. I'm fine with it. I think I would have went after a different wide receiver. I mean, Jefferson just hasn't been the same this year, and it's not his fault. I mean, honestly. I mean, yeah, I know he fell down late in that game, with the interception, but like he's been more like just fine than anything. Like he has the one game all year where he scored more than 20 PPR points. That was all the way back in week 4. So like, and I think his catchable target rate this year is like absurdly low. Because how bad his catchable target rate is 64.3%, which is 73rd among all wide receivers. I guess you're just really hoping that he turned that JJ McCarthy can get better as a passer. That's really what you're hoping. How does best ball work? Maybe I should play that. I'm good at picking sleepers. So essentially, best ball, you're probably talking about like underdog. DraftKings offers it too, but I mean, you can do best ball like now, but or for the fantasy playoff, or for not the fantasy playoffs, the NFL playoffs is also a lot of fun. But essentially, you just draft a team and you leave it. You never have to mess that. You don't make any trades. There's no waiver wire. You draft a team, and that is your team for however long. So like if you were to do it next year before the season started, you draft a team. It's like 18 to 20 rounds. You draft a team, and that's the team you have all year. Your rosters are set each week by whoever scores the most for that week. Is how your roster is set every week, so you don't have to do anything. You just track your roster for the rest of the way. It's a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoy doing it. I mean, I don't go crazy with it, but I'll play. I'll end up drafting like 15 to 20 teams over the course of the summer, but it gives you that allows you to play, and then during the year you don't have to do anything with it. I need to start 2 running backs. Full PPR: Henry, Hall, Woody, or Swift. Mononga if Swift sits. Starting JSN, Nico, and Waddle. I mean, if Swift were to be out, I would go with Mononga, but I mean, and Henry, but I don't see. I think Swift plays, so it would be Henry and Woody Marks for me. JSN, Nico, and Waddle. Love that group there, Secret. Who do you prefer this week? A little kicker question there, Champagne. Pinheiro or Loop? Give me Tyler Loop. Barely over Eddie Pinheiro, but yeah, give me Eddie Pinheiro. I have a few advancing in Best Ball Mania and the big and little boards and 3 in competition and smaller contests. Yeah, they have second chance playoffs now. Yeah, I'll usually put some in for like the NFL playoffs. I think it's a lot of fun to try to throw some lineups into that. Just kind of give you some action during the NFL playoffs. I just play way too much DFS on a weekly basis too. Um, didn't I say that? Did I say Tyler Loop? I thought I could have swore I said give me Tyler Loop, or did I say Pinheiro? Could have swore I said Loop. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I have to rewind myself somehow, and maybe I said Eddie Pinheiro. If I did, I did not mean to say that. I meant to say Tyler Loop. Yeah, I love Jason Myers. Well, see, I guess I'm an idiot. They're Super Dave. I've been answering, hundreds of questions, not hundreds, but a lot of questions. And maybe I'm starting to lose it. And the worst thing for me is I still have to go and record a 20+ minute video and then edit it uh, before I go to bed tonight, so I can have it out tomorrow. So that's gonna be fun. So it's gonna be like a 2:30 in the morning night for me, and then I have to get up at 7 a.m. to go to work. So yeah, but I enjoy doing this. It's a Thursday game. Patriots have been good against the run. I was thinking about benching Henry for Woody and Swift, but I don't know. I might change it. I think when it comes to this, Secret, is that I feel like this is like a if that's what your gut's telling you to do, I would do it. I've kind of been saying it all night when it comes to Henry. Like the Browns are a very good run defense. Like they've been good against the run all year. They're allowing, I think, what is it? The third fewest PPR points to the position all year, allowing just 17.1 PPR points. And so, like, they've been really good against the run. The last time these two teams faced, the Henry did absolutely nothing. Scored 2.3 fantasy points in that game against the Browns. So it makes it really tough to play Henry, but at the same time, it's Derrick Henry. He can still break off a 70-yard touchdown run anytime. Trade Gatson for Woody Marks. Unia McBride. Yeah, I'm okay with doing that. I think that's a pretty good buy. Just hope the Texans don't do something stupid and like switch back to Nick Chubb all of a sudden. But which would be incredibly stupid because Woody Marks looks like their best running back for sure. But I'm okay with doing that. I think that's a pretty fair offer, a pretty fair trade for Rondé Gatson. Yeah, Thursday games are fucking terrible. Like I felt like the first 4 or 5 weeks of the year, I had a Thursday night player. I feel like every single game or every single week, and it sucks. Because those games just go all over the place. You never know what to expect. So the Niners scare me though might be abandoning the kicker. I mean, I think it just depends on game scripts and how that game goes. Honestly, but I think the environment's good. It is in Arizona, so it's inside a dome. That's a positive. And when we've seen Pinheiro, I know he struggled recently, but for the most part this year, he's been absolutely nails. So um, I don't mind. I still like Pinheiro. Should I play Allen or pick up and get Rogers or Fields? No, we. I mean, I'm assuming that's Josh Allen. We're playing Josh Allen for sure, no matter what. Worthy on waiver. I'm a Rice owner. Would you rate above Tet or DK rest of season? I mean, I probably would have Worthy ahead of Tet, but that's close. I'd probably have DK ahead of him. Stupid Dave, if you can't get Pinheiro back, obviously Jake Myers is a great play. Love him. He's been awesome all year. Uh, but if somehow Jake Myers and Tyler Loop and Eddie Pinheiro are all ratted, you could also add the thicker kicker as well. Who I have at 10, Harrison Mevis for the Rams. Half point PPO start one wide receiver, one flex, Devo, Sutton, Brees, ETN, BTJ. Oh, give me Debo and ETN. Bates out there, the Rams. Oh yeah, I mean I know Harrison Mevis. I mean Harrison Mevis is rostered like 2% of leagues. I think I would be willing to bet that like 95% of people don't even know who Harrison Mevis is, unless you watch my video that I put out on Wednesday. But most people don't know who Harrison Mevis is. But he's been really good. Pinheiro for the rest of the season. What I meant, the Niners might get rolled in the weeks ahead and have to abandon the field goal to go for it. Yeah, I mean it's definitely possible. I mean, the 49ers, their defense is just completely face planted, which is a problem. Obviously. Um, it's just been. I don't know if there's a team more injured than this year than the 49ers have been. I mean, it just feels like every week they're losing somebody. But that's why I'm also a big proponent of streaming when it comes to kickers, or defenses for that matter, on a week to week basis. There are very few that I would consider like set it and forget it type players or defenses. Like probably like Brandon Aubrey and maybe like Chase McLaughlin and Cameron Dicker, I guess, would probably be like the three kickers that would come to mind that like you feel pretty good about rest of the year to like to start every week. But there's a lot of kickers I would rather just stream the position every single week. Same with defense. Like you have like the Texans, the Seahawks, and not even the Broncos. I mean, because like I really don't really love playing the Broncos this week against the Chiefs, but most people are gonna don't have a choice. Barkley or Henderson? It's gonna be Saquon. I like Pinheiro, but he has a bye coming up. Myers, Loop, Bates, Mevis are past their buys. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I mean, Jake Myers has been. I think he's like the kicker 3 or 4 on the year overall, fantasy points per game. Like he's been really good, but it's also been because the offense has been so damn good. I dropped Calvin Austin for Dortch. We'll see if that works out. Like it's tough. I prefer Michael Wilson to Greg Dortch, but would you sit Derrick Henry and play Travion Henderson? I feel like this is like the question of the night. And I will say the same thing that I have said uh that I have said all night, and that I probably would play Derrick Henry, but it's really close. If it was full PPR, I think if it was me, I would probably play Travion Henderson over Derrick Henry. It's a really bad matchup for Derrick Henry. But when it comes to Derrick Henry, like even if it is a really bad matchup, like he could easily rip off a 60-yard touchdown and shove that down my throat of how bad a matchup I think that it is. But I just think Henderson probably has a higher ceiling in this spot in this game, and you don't really have the opportunity to let it ride out. I would probably play Travion Henderson if it was me, but I think Derrick Henry's probably still a little bit safer. Um, again, I think it really comes down to what is it like your matchup look like? I think so as well. Anthony, Trey Tucker, or Dobbs in the flex. Give me Dobbs. I have Dobbs as the top 24 wide receiver play this week. Well, Loop is gone. Can't let Greg Dortch beat me. Kickers aren't always consistent. Yeah. I mean, you're fine. I mean, with all the other options you put out there, I mean, like m- two or three of those guys are like top 10 kickers for me this week anyway. So I think you're fine no matter what. Should I trade Jalen Warren for Jacoby Myers, Devonta Smith? Depends on your running backs, honestly. Like, are you desperate for? I mean, are you loaded at running back and you can absorb that? Because I don't think Jacoby Myers is going to be much on a week to week basis. I like Devonta Smith, like he's like a strong top 24 wide receiver, but Jalen Warren is like a top 15 to 18. Did Riker miss a couple field goals a couple weeks back? That kind of scares me as my league heavily penalizes missed kicks. It only gives me 2 points for most field goals. Accuracy and distance is best. I don't think he has the last couple of weeks. I think he did before that. Let me see. Let me check. Will of the Thrill. So yeah, week 8 he went 1 for 2, but I mean that's the only field goal he's missed since week 5. Week 5 he went 0 for 1, and then he went 1 for 2 in week 8. But he's made all of his field goals since then. Other than that, so he's been pretty consistent for the most part this year. Pitts or Schultz? Give me Pitts slightly over Dalton Schultz. Got a rankings video coming tomorrow. I do. I haven't recorded it yet because I thought about it, but then it kept getting later and later, and I was trying to wrap everything up and all the research I have for that video, and then I realized it was 9:30, 9:40, and I didn't want to keep waiting around and record it and then edit this and then go live because it'd been like 11, 10:30 or whatever it would have been before I went live. So I said screw it, and I decided to wait till afterwards. Now I'm looking at the clock and realizing it's midnight, and I still have to record that video. So that'll be fun. My league gives 5 points for 50 plus field goals and 4 for 40 yards. See, with this day and age, though, like we need to have 6 points for 60-yard field goals. To be fair, -1 for misses. Yeah. Okay, looking at Riker for the Pinheiro bye week available. Yeah. Traded Downs and Marks for AJ Brown. I'm in. Hopefully it works out for you. I will say, I really like AJ Brown this week. It's probably going to come back to bite me in the ass, but I do like AJ Brown. He is somebody that I'm going to highlight in the video that I'm about to record once I get off here. But, and I'll tell you why while I'm here, is schematically, this sets up really well for AJ Brown. He is their man beater, man coverage beater. Devonta Smith is much more zone. AJ Brown is still a lead against man coverage this year. He's averaging 0.92 fantasy points per route run against man coverage, which ranks top 5 among all wide receivers, but just 0.17 fantasy points per route run against zone, where Devonta Smith only averages 0.3 fantasy points per route run against man coverage, but against zone, he averages 0.7 fantasy points per route run against zone. So, like this, and the Lions run man coverage, the 4th highest rate in the league. So this sets up really well for AJ Brown. It's like a great schematic matchup for AJ Brown. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, he should, right? I mean, the kickers are making 60 yarders. They shouldn't count as a 50 yarder. We think my wide receiver room, JSN, JJ, Pickens, AJ, QJ, Lad. I think you're just trying to phenomenal. A plus wide receiver room. Should I trade Kyren and Hall for Gibbs? I mean, if you can, I would do it without even thinking about it. Running back room, Kyren, Breeze, Bucky, Hampton. I mean, good news that Bucky and Hampton are coming back for sure. Where would Kyrie Fairbairn rank if he's playing this week? And would you he be set and forget it rest of the season with him already have a bye? I don't know if he's set it and forget it. I wouldn't call him that. I just think the Texans offense is up and down. I think he's a really solid. I mean, he's still a top 10 tight end or tight end, top 10 kicker rest of season. If he was playing this week, I would probably have him 10 or 11. I think is where I would probably have him this week against the Titans. What do you think Tyler Lockett's fantasy ceiling in fantasy? Not good. He's probably going to see a little more targets just playing with the Raiders because of Geno Smith familiarity with him. Super Dave, actually, not even thinking about it. Like Tyler Lockett, I guess, that's somebody you could look at as well. I don't think he has much of a ceiling, but in this matchup against the Cowboys, I mean, he was targeted pretty heavy. I mean, still a pretty decent target share in that first game with the Raiders now being brought over, and he has that familiarity with Geno Smith, obviously with Pete Carroll. What did he see last week? 6 targets, 5 for 44. I mean, I don't know. I guess you could always do worse than Tyler Lockett, but anyways, that being said, it's midnight, and I was planning on only going for like an hour or two tonight, but it is only at 2 hours, but I was trying to hopefully go for an hour so I could get this video recorded and then edited, but I didn't because we had all the questions, and I'm here for that to answer all that. So I'm going to try to get out of here so I can go record this video tomorrow. But I will be back. You'll see a video tomorrow morning for our top plays of the week, quarterback through tight end, going through all that, the slate. And then I think I'm going to try to again, it worked out pretty well. I'm going to try to again to go live on Friday as well, Friday night, to answer all your questions again. And I may end up shifting this live to just Friday nights. I don't know how that would work for you guys, but if that would be better or not. But at least Friday, I don't have to worry about getting up the next day and everything else. But and have content to do. I'll probably still stick with this because of the Thursday game. But maybe I'll try to limit it to like an hour or whatever. Anyways, I'm rambling. Have a good night, Jake. Enjoy the Thursday night football game tomorrow against the Jets and the Patriots. And we'll see you on the next one. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe button if you haven't already, and be sure to check out the video tomorrow. It should be out around 10 a.m. tomorrow Central Time. And make sure to hit that and watch it and hit the like on that one as well. Have a good night. Appreciate all the support. We'll be back. Bye.